Man, does my head hurt. Let's take a ride out to the lake and we're going to talk about our mental health. It's FASTLANE. So yeah, man, taking a little ride out to the lake today. Took the day off just because I wasn't feeling super great last night and I didn't want to expose anybody to possibly anything today. Also, I got to get my tattoo colored in today. And which brings me to the subject I want to talk about, which is simply this: mental health. Recently, my wife made a decision to leave a job she'd been at for about 7 years, and it was a pretty abrupt decision. She made a really abrupt decision that I can't do this anymore. I won't do this anymore. I don't feel good or right about doing this anymore, and it's not good for me. It really become a real detriment to her mental well-being. All right, so the thing happened with my wife. She's now on a journey to figure out what she wants to do with her employment, and she's kind of got a job to sort of fill in the meantime. Now for me, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you might remember when I said, hey, I've taken on a supervisory role at my job. Now, I wasn't looking to be a supervisor. I was happy. If you watch some of my earlier videos, I said, man, I love my job. I wouldn't do anything to change it. And that was the truth. But they came to me and they were like, hey man, you should really consider this. And at first I was like, hell no, I ain't doing that, man. I don't want to be a supervisor. And that was my first initial reaction. And then I was like, you know what? I'll give it a go, you know? And I did. But after a couple months, you know, I started really realizing, like, I don't want this gig. I don't want to deal with personnel and their issues. And just the job I had was, you know, you were kind of the hub of this wheel. And so all these different entities came to you for help. And every problem that was available came to you. You had to have the solutions and you had to figure it all out. And after a couple of months, I was like, nah, man, this doesn't hardly pay any more than my other job. And even if it did, I wouldn't do it. I just realized this is not the gig for me. I don't like doing this. It doesn't, although I was doing a good job at the job, it's not really a good fit for me. I wasn't happy, you know? And that's the thing. If you find yourself not being happy, you've got to figure it out, man. And there's lots of us out there in the world, and you might be one of them, and you might be sitting in a job, and maybe you've been there a long time or just a short time, and you're like, man, this is not a good fit. I don't like this. I don't want to do this forever. And sometimes, I'll admit, we feel stuck sometimes. Sometimes we feel stuck because of an income level that we think we need, or, you know, we need to bring in this much money, or whatever. Truth be told, a lot of us could probably honestly live a little bit less and be happier, okay? Make a little less money, dial back our our spending a little tiny bit, maybe sell something. Sometimes we've got something sitting in the driveway that we could sell, that we're making payments on still or something, and we could get out from under that and we could change things. So, you know, or maybe you just buy a little bit less beer or something, you know, what you might be self-medicating with because you hate your job anyways. It happens, okay? So essentially, getting back to my main point, I realized I don't care how much this thing pays. I don't want to do this job. This is not a good fit for me. This doesn't feel right. And the other thing was, I started like not being able to sleep. I started waking up in the night thinking about the job. I started solving problems in my head thinking about it. And when I finally dreamed about it, I was like, okay, I'm done. I finally dreamed about the job, and I'm like, yeah, that's a wrap right there. I'm not gonna have my whole life, you know, consumed with this thing. I'm just not gonna do it. I think it's really important to know what you can and you cannot deal with. I think it's really important to know what you really want for your life, okay? And I don't want to be a supervisor. I never set out to do that at this place. I never had it in the back of my mind like, oh, that's going to be a much better gig for me. So then I had to go in and tell them, and you all know how that is, you know, when people are counting on you for this or that, you know, and then you go, and because they liked me in the job, they really did, and they thought I was doing a fantastic job at it, and I was, but I didn't like it. And they understood that, but I had to go tell them. And honestly, dude, I will tell you this, it kind of made me feel depressed. It made me feel bummed out that, number one, I didn't want to keep the job. Number two, that it just wasn't a good fit. And number three, that I was going backwards again. I was going back to my other gig, which is not the end of the world, because I have a great job. But anytime we kind of take a step back, it feels a little defeating. Here's what I want you to know. Don't think about that. Don't worry about that. If you take a step back and you go back to where you were before, more power to you, buddy. All right? Go for it. That's what I'm saying. Do not ever let, you know, the notoriety of something or what somebody thinks or what they believe or any of it make you make a decision to stay somewhere that you don't like. Let's go out here. Is the little booth open? Nope. I am not going to take up much room out here, but you know what? I'm going to pay. Yeah, guys, here I am at Fern Ridge Reservoir, or Fern Ridge Lake, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, I just felt like I kind of wanted to come out to the lake today and take a ride out here. And although the ride that I took wasn't really scenic of the lake, because there's not really a huge like scenic ride of this lake. You just kind of ride out to it and then you cut over to it. There's a little bit more that might be slightly more scenic, but yeah. I just kind of wanted to get out here because really the video, what I'm talking about today is about mental health. It's about actually taking care of yourself and making sure that you're good. You know, out of everything in life, the number one thing you do is take care of yourself, or the number one thing you should be doing is to take care of yourself. Because, you know, a lot of people, they focus on their career, their money, and all that stuff's important and all that. But if that is all we focus on, you know, many a person has lost their health trying to make money and then spend it all. Somebody wise said this once, trying to regain their health, because let's face it, stress is a killer. It's documented, it's scientific. The whole medical community would agree that stress will shorten your life, man. And it'll just make the quality of your life just way far worse, you know. And we want to have a good quality of life, you know. Even if your life is a little more simple, and mine is becoming that on some levels, that's okay. Because really what you're after is you're after peace, you're after joy, and you're after happiness, and you're after a lot of things that are very basic needs, all right? And they're some of the most important needs. And, you know, people run after stuff. They run after, you know, notoriety. They run after careers, and they run after a lot of things. And in the end, they find out, well, guess what? Number one, it's pretty empty, right? A lot of that stuff, if you're trying to find happiness in those things, you're not going to find happiness in those places. You know, if you're not happy on the inside, you're not happy with you, you're not happy with your life. You hate getting up on Monday morning and go to that job. You can't wait till Friday. You can't wait till 5 o'clock, whatever. You hate Sunday nights because you got to get up the next morning. So you dread when Sunday comes, you're thinking about going back to work already. Man, that's no life. That's not the kind of life we want to be living, right? We want to live a life that is full of joy, full of peace, full of happiness, you know? And that's kind of why I'm out here at the lake today, because it's really quiet out here. And I think I'll flip around and let's flip around. Let's look at the lake. There's the lake right back there. Little fogged out because I got this on, like, I don't know, cinematic mode or something, which looks cool, but you can't quite see the background quite as good, but we'll stick with it for now. But, you know, here's the deal. You want to be happy, right? You want to find happiness. You want to have peace. You want to have tranquility. You want to feel content in life. Those are things that we all basically want and need out of life, okay? And money does not buy that. You know, somebody said, you know, money doesn't buy happiness. It just helps you look in a lot more places. And, you know, I will say I'm in a better financial state than I've ever been probably in my life. I'm not rich by any means, but I am, you know, I have a few bucks to throw around for like the first time ever. And that has brought a certain level of just not having to worry, you know? So it's okay to get yourself to a point where, you know, things are stable. That's a good thing to work towards, all right? It's good to have a little money in the bank. It's good to have some savings and all those things. But if you're looking for cash to make you happy, it's simply not going to happen, all right? Money does not buy happiness, all right? If you're miserable in your job, you're miserable what you have to do every day, you work for a terrible boss, or you work for a terrible company, or you just hate the kind of work you're doing, or you feel like it's shady, or you're not into it, or whatever, it just doesn't fit you, then you got to make some changes, all right? It's time to make some changes in your life and figure out what really at the core of you is right for you. It's a question we don't often ask. We just get in a job because, hey, it makes 18 bucks an hour or whatever, right? We look at that dollar sign and we go, well, that's the job for me. And now you're doing a career that you hate, that you learned how to do, but are you really talented for it? Has it come out of something natural for you? Or is it just something you're forcing, okay? So what I want you to do is take some time, think about what you really want. Have you done that? Have you ever thought about what is it that you want? What is it that I want? It's not about what the guy next to you wants, or what somebody over here wants for you, or what mom and dad wants for you. It's about what you want. What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your life to be? You have the power to change it. You have the power, and don't ever think you're stuck, man, because I've been in some bad situations at times, and believe me, I got myself into some of them, and I got myself out. Now, with a little help from above, without a doubt, for me, okay? But I had to make a decision. I had to make a choice. Am I going to stay here? Am I going to stay down? Or am I going to get up? Am I going to get up and I'm going to walk towards what I want? And man, you got to start believing it on the inside. What do you want? What do you want for your life? Can you see it in here? Do you got a vision? Do you got a plan? Do you have a dream? What does that look like? You know, a lot of dreams start as just little seeds in our heart, in our minds, right? They start as a little seed. You got to cultivate that seed, all right? You start working on it and get you out a notebook. Start writing it down a little bit. Start envisioning it. Start designing it. Every great invention in this world came from somebody who started with an idea. And they begin to perfect it. They begin to design it. They begin to lay it out. So I'd really encourage you to get out your notepad, get out your sketchbook, whatever. You want to have a business? Start designing it. What do you want that place to feel like when people come in? What do you want it to look like? What do you want it to be about? What's the core value? Is it just to make a buck? We can all do that. We can all make money. I mean, we want to make a buck. We can take out convenience stores. I'm not recommending it, but people do it, right? People with no vision do that kind of a thing. If you want to make a buck, you can do that. But that's not us, right? That's not what we're doing. We want to do something that's worthwhile, that we feel good about, and that actually makes a difference for us, that utilizes our gifts, our talents, our abilities. And even if your talents aren't to that level yet, don't let that deter or stop you either, because you can work on it, right? You can work on it if it's a desire deep down. And you'll get there. So anyways, your mental health is incredibly, incredibly important. It's incredibly important how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your situation, and what you're doing every day, all right? Okay, that's pretty much my rant and my rave for today. I hope you enjoyed the ride out here. I hope it was relaxing. If you haven't done this, would you like, share, and subscribe to my channel? You know, I was looking up my subscriber count, and 97% of people who watch my videos aren't subscribed. So hit that subscription button, hit that notification button, so when my videos come on, you know, and we can hang out together, all right? I'll see you next time. It's Fastlane.